Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the H&H Sports Podcast. I'm Tanner Hicks, and as always, I'm joined by Jackson Huey. We got another banger episode for you guys inbound. We're going to be recapping the Super Bowl, a great Super Bowl it was, and we are going to be comparing our NFL standings predictions. The first episode, the inaugural episode of the greatest podcast in the world, our standings predictions versus the standings that actually played out in the NFL season. It's going to be an interesting episode. Keep watching. All right, let's jump straight into it. Super Bowl 57. I'm going to go out and say it. One of the greatest football games I've ever seen in my entire life.
I agree.
No stoppage of entertainment through the entire way, except when it got to halftime. Just great watch the entire way. First quarter was entertaining, and then we got to the second quarter. The first half wasn't, the best part. Once we got to the second half, it was just immaculate football from both sides. We got one of the greatest Super Bowl performances I've ever seen from Jalen Hurts. We could talk about Jalen Hurts for a second. I wasn't a hater before. I was just talking about how I'm giving an analysis. That's what we do. We're talk about sports. I don't that good, but now I can't really say anything now because he played the best game of his life on the biggest stage that there could possibly be. Jalen Hurts is him. He's going to be getting a huge extension in due time, and he's the Eagles franchise quarterback for years to come. I can't say anything else. I'll admit it when I'm wrong. I wasn't wrong at the time, but gradually he turned into a franchise quarterback, which, can happen. And I took that risk talking about him like that. So, Jalen Hurts is him. He played a fantastic game the whole way, except for that one mistake where he gave the football away, which is really inexcusable. You got to keep hold of the football. That's right. Really. I will give the benefit of the doubt to Jalen though. When the Eagles needed yards, the Eagles and I forget his name. He just got hired by the Colts, but that offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni, they just asked Jalen Hurts to say, "Hey, go make a play," and he did it the entire game. When they weren't running that sneak, which hold on. I think this is one that sneak where they come out and right. QB kneel formation pretty much, and they just push him across the line of scrimmage. I think that's something that the NFL will soon enough, because that's
well, what now?
I think that's something that the NFL might ban.
I don't know
in the future. It's so good. They didn't lose any yards off of it. They didn't get stopped. They gained yards every time they got it, or they used it.
I think the Eagles could have done that all the way down the field and been perfectly fine.
2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards the whole way. Yeah, that Super Bowl was just a joy to watch. The whole game, Mahomes rightfully won Super Bowl MVP. I think if this was the year to give the Super Bowl MVP to a losing player, it would have been Jalen Hurts. Another Super Bowl MVP candidate was James Bradberry. Held on the last drive of the game. Now I'm going to ask you a question about this hold. Now, obviously, the ref, came out and said, he doubled down and said it was a hold. And James Bradberry, after the game, said it was a hold. Do you think that was a hold, or?
It's a hold, but I don't think you make that call in that moment.
I agree. I probably wouldn't have made that call
as
a referee.
It's a hold, but you've let them play all night, and you call that.
Yeah.
It's the right call, for sure.
Yeah,
I just don't know if I would have called it in that moment.
I think a jersey tug past 5 yards is an automatic flag, regardless. But to make that in that spot, bro, If the ball just falls incomplete with no flag, the Chiefs take a field goal and the Eagles get the ball back. It's a rough ending for the Eagles, man. But you don't get in that spot if your defense does during the game. Defense didn't do any entire game. You let up 38 points in the Super Bowl, you're probably not going to win the game. Especially to the Chiefs, you're probably not going to win the game. Again, let's talk about the turf and the grass being wet. I don't know what the problem with that was. That's part of the reason why the Eagles pass rush, who was all-time dominant this season, just didn't get any pressure. You got the guys who had their hand in the dirt just couldn't do anything. And it's a completely different story from the last time the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl when their offensive line couldn't block anybody. The Chiefs' offensive line, that is. The offensive line couldn't block anybody. Mike Renner and whoever else at tackle when Orlando Brown was out. And no, I don't think they had Orlando Brown yet. They had somebody else at tackle. I think Eric Fisher. I don't know if he played in that game or not. I don't think it would have mattered. They had Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, who just didn't play and retired after that game. Like, that offensive line was in shambles that entire game. Part of the main reason why the Buccaneers won that Super Bowl. They revamped that offensive line, and even though the turf was questionable, the Chiefs' offensive line did their thing, gave Patrick Mahomes time. And Mahomes, man, Mahomes is also him. He's even more him than Jalen Hurts. Mahomes might go down. He already is one of the greatest football players ever at age 27.
How many more Super Bowls does Mahomes have to win to be the GOAT?
I don't know, man.
He doesn't have to win 7, does he? I don't think so.
You got to be on par with the other guys, though. Bradshaw has 4. Montana has 4.
If he hits 5, I think you can call him the GOAT.
But 5 is crazy. 5 is crazy. Andy Reid probably isn't going to be there for much longer. Easily less than a decade, maybe even half a decade left in him.
Yeah, but I wouldn't think replacing Andy Reid when you got Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback would be that big of an.
I don't understand. Is Eric Bieniemy like I understand a little bit if Eric Bieniemy wanted to leave to be a head coach. That's like you can't fault a guy for.
But he's interviewing for offensive
move.
Coordinator jobs.
For Washington, I understand. If they're giving you a bag, go get your bag, man. But like you're the number. You're going to be the number one candidate, no doubt, to succeed Andy Reid when he retires, which isn't far away. Being the head coach of the Chiefs, one of the best gigs you can have. And Eric Bieniemy is a masterful play caller. We saw that in the Super Bowl. There's a little Eric Bieniemy rant. Like he's a grown man. He's going to do whatever he's going to do. But I just think it'd be best to stay put in an amazing situation and succeed, Andy Reid.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, I think Mahomes has to have at least 4 or 5 because all the other guys, like Bradshaw, is not in any conversation for best quarterback ever, but he's got, a lot of rings. He's got 4. Montana's got 4. I think Elway's got 1 or 2. I think he's been to 2 and only has 1. Rodgers only has 1. Manning's got 1. Like, I think as talent-wise, he's going to be top 2 or 3 ever.
Peyton has 2, don't he?
Oh, yeah, Peyton does have 2. I forget his last one.
He didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing for it.
He didn't do anything. Yeah, Peyton does have 2. But I think he won't necessarily need so many. At least not as many as Tom Brady. I don't think anybody's going to have as many as Tom Brady. I just think it's right. The writing's in the cards for him to be a top. I think he's stamped for at least top 3 ever quarterbacks.
I think he's already top 5.
He's in. You definitely can argue for it. But I think by the end of his career, he'll definitely will be a lock for top 3. I don't think it'll necessarily need all the Super Bowls in the world like Tom Brady has.
Right. That's what I was getting at. I don't think he'll need. You don't have to win 8 to be the GOAT. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because guys like Manning only has 2, Breeze has 1, Rodgers has 1, Elway's got 1. I'm pretty sure Elway's got 1. But like Brady and Montana are the 2 outliers with like 4, and Brady's got 7. So I don't think Mahomes is gonna need 5, 6, 7, 8 Super Bowls to be considered one of the greatest ever. I just think his ability will, do that for him, which has already done him wonders. What made me really upset is that Kenneth Gainwell had a touchdown in the first quarter.
He did.
And it got called back. And then he had another like big gain for a first down, and that got called back too. And then my boy Kenny was having a game. They just wasn't having it. He had 40 total yards though in the Super Bowl. And Jake Elliott didn't miss a kick, so
yeah.
Memphis represent or whatever. But yeah, that's the only thing that made me upset about the Super Bowl. Kenny got his touchdown revoked, man. The first, like outside of Isaac Bruce, the first player to score that wasn't a kicker in the Super Bowl for Memphis.
Yeah, I think on that holding call, I think people would have been mad if they called it. People were going to be mad if they didn't call it. So like,
that's what I said. I was like, if they didn't call it, there would have been a million people on Twitter like, how do you miss this in this spot?
There's no right answer. There's no right call there.
Yeah. But the
you
refs
could also
is doing their job.
You could also say that. You could also argue the Dallas Goedert catch.
Dude, I was surprised they called that a catch. I thought that they were gonna say he didn't have control.
I did too, because they called the Devontae Smith one not a catch. So I just based it off that. So,
and the Miles Sanders catch that they said was incomplete.
I thought that was Gainwell. Was it Miles Sanders?
It was Sanders. He caught
when he fumbled.
Yeah, and
he didn't make a football move though.
I thought he might have.
It
was close.
He didn't take 3 steps.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't have been upset if they called that, because Nick Bolton would have had 2 defensive touchdowns on the game, and we might have seen Nick Bolton for Super Bowl MVP. That would have been crazy if the same person got 2 scooped scores on the game.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been pretty crazy. Where does this rank for you in like Super Bowls ever?
Ever?
Yeah.
Now I can't sit here and lie to you and say I've watched every Super Bowl.
Just ones that you've seen.
It's probably top 2 for sure.
I would say so. At least top 3. Because the 28-3 is the craziest one I've seen.
Yeah, that has to be the best one I've ever seen.
Seahawks Patriots was another crazy one. We've been blessed with some crazy Super Bowls the past decade. We had what was the one? I'm thinking of another one. Eagles Patriots recently.
It definitely wasn't Rams Patriots.
That might have been the worst football game I've ever seen, let alone not even Super Bowl, just football game.
No. Broncos Colts takes the cake on that one.
No. Every Thursday night game, bro. Oh my gosh, I can't wait for the new season to start, bro. Thursday, good Lord, Thursday better be better this year, because like godly, my favorite thing this year was to just come on here and just bash the Thursday night games. Every week. Broncos Colts, bro, they went to overtime and Broncos fans were leaving. They did not care who won that game, bro. They was like, man, that's why these tickets were $3. Broncos Colts playing on Thursday.
They paid $1 for every point they had going into overtime.
I think that was Frank Reich's last game, and the Colts were like, brother, if we're going to overtime with the Broncos lost that game, right?
Yeah. Because Russ threw the pick, and when he had KJ Hamler wide open, and he threw the interception trying to get it to.
That was when somebody on the sideline threw their helmet or something. Was that KJ?
Yeah,
Hamler?
that was Hamler threw his helmet.
Dude, that was funny. That's like, see, that's why you tune in to bad games. Stuff like that can happen. It's so bad that it's like watching a bad movie. It's so bad that it's hilarious. That was hilarious. While we're on the topic, what was your favorite game to watch this year? besides the Super Bowl?
I don't know, man. That's tough. I'm trying to think back to one that stands out. I'd say the Cowboys Eagles Thanksgiving game's up there.
That wasn't really a good game.
I'd say that one's up there for sure.
Mine would probably be Jags Chargers wild card round.
Yeah,
just seeing the highs and lows of that game, tale of two halves. Trevor Lawrence throws 4 interceptions, and then comes back, throws 4 touchdowns, and wins the game down 27-0, 27-3. So beats the Chargers. Watching the Jags win that game was absolutely wild. Bless. Vikings Bills. That was probably one of the craziest games I've ever watched. That's up there for one of the craziest games I've ever watched. Josh Allen throwing 2 red zone interceptions and Justin Jefferson making the snag of ever that I've ever seen.
There was the one where the Colts
down.
blew that. There was the one where the Colts blew that lead too.
Oh, Vikings had a weird year. Vikings have a crazy game against the Bills, one of the best teams in the league. They have a comeback against one of the worst teams in the league in the Colts, the largest comeback by points ever in NFL history.
Were they down 38?
34? 5, 6, something like that. And then they lose in the wild card round of the Giants, who haven't seen the playoffs in 6 years.
Typical Kirk Cousins.
Just Vikings are hilarious. And they had a negative point differential winning 13 games. Like, absolutely atrocious. Yeah. Crazy season. Really, real joy to watch. Can't wait to do our off-season stuff like we did last year. We're going to predict our standings again. We're going to do some more. We're probably going to sweep the college, like the Power 5 conferences in college. We only did the SEC last year because college football was kind of creeping up. We're probably going to do every conference we can. You guys probably don't care about Sun Belt and, Conference USA. Conference USA only has like 6 teams in that conference now that all of them are in the American. We're going to do some more, standings predictions. We're going to do NFL standings predictions in due time. But speaking of standings predictions, we are going to see how we did in our first standings predictions in our first, episode of this podcast. Now,
I got one right. I know that.
We both had the Texans as the worst team in the AFC, and they were by a comfortable margin. 1 game behind the Colts.
Not too comfortable.
Not only 1 game, but the Texans were pretty bad. I was right in saying that the Bears were a bottom 3 team in the league, and they certainly were. They, by record, were the worst team in the NFL. They obviously, with them having the number 1 overall pick, they went 3-14. Now, I think my worst prediction on there was saying the Seahawks had the worst roster in the NFL.
I agreed with you.
We both said that, but nobody was going to expect Geno Smith to come out and him, Nobody thought Geno Smith was going to come out and have a Pro Bowl season and win Comeback Player of the Year. That certainly helped them win 9 games in the playoffs. But roster-wise, and this was before Kenneth Walker, was in conversations for Rookie of the Year. Became a really good running back. and Tariq Woolen. They had that young secondary put it together. This is before all them young guys, broke out. Outside of Geno Smith, who came back and remembered how to play football.
See, I don't know, man.
That at the time, that wasn't a bad.
No, I'm saying I don't know that Geno should have been comeback player of the year.
Who do you think who it should have been?
Like Saquon or somebody, Christian McCaffrey. I just think comeback player of the year should go to somebody who got injured, not somebody that was just bad.
Yeah, it's suddenly good. Yeah, what did he come back from?
Being garbage.
Yeah, he hasn't been good in the NFL since this year.
He came back from the bench and he got comeback player of the year.
He came back from West Virginia in 2012, being good in college. Like, now that you say that, yeah. We both had the Rams pretty good. Do you think that them being as bad as they were was the biggest surprise of the NFL season, would you say? The Rams being so bad?
Yeah.
I would probably say so. The Lions being
I don't know.
9-8.
You could put the Bucs being pretty bad up there too.
I had a feeling it would happen. I'm not going to sit here and be like LeBron. Yeah, I knew from the get-go that the Bucs were going to be bad. But, like, we both thought they were going to be at least better than what they were, a losing record. We thought they were going to have at least, a comfortable amount of games over 500 since they had Tom Brady and still had a good offense. But I never trusted Todd Bowles as a head coach. And, that showed that Tom Bowles isn't a great head coach. He's a good coordinator, not so great as a head coach. They did lose a lot of pieces. They had no secondary pretty much the entire year. That offensive line was in shambles the entire year. That team had dealt with a lot of injuries and, a lot of uncertainty. Todd Bowles as head coach, that there's a reason they were 8-9. But that was also a big surprise. The Lions being 9-8 and one game out of the playoffs was certainly a surprise. Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, I thought was going to be like the Texans head coach or something. Somebody's head coach, but he stays with the Lions, building something there in Detroit. That team is going to be in the playoffs for soon enough. They're going to be in the postseason, especially if Rodgers isn't back in Green Bay next year. Lions could win the NFC North next year if the Vikings don't continue what they're doing. The Giants making the playoffs was also a huge surprise. That whole NFC East division was a surprise. Nobody had a losing record in that conference or in that division. Ron Rivera forgetting that they were eliminated or forgetting that they could get eliminated in that 1 week was yes.
He said, "Wait, we could be eliminated."
The Broncos, big surprise. Nathaniel Hackett, not a good head coach. Turns out. Raiders also up there. The Raiders were pretty bad. Also dealt with a good amount of injuries on defense. We both thought the Chargers and Chiefs would make the playoffs. I had the Chiefs at 10-7. And
I had them as the 1 seed, didn't I?
I think you did. I had them as the 5th seed at 10-7.
So they
won the Super Bowl, obviously.
Somebody said Travis Kelce. I didn't say they wasn't gonna make the playoffs.
I thought they would make the playoffs. I thought they were like the 5th
I know.
seed.
You didn't see that?
What?
At the Super Bowl parade, he was talking about that. Some dude said that they weren't gonna make the playoffs and that the Chiefs were done, and
just because they lost Tyreek Hill. I didn't think that. I thought they would struggle a little bit.
They did.
They didn't struggle at all. They didn't. They could argue got better without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, they didn't struggle.
Yeah, the Chiefs were immaculate all year. Won the Super Bowl. If you guys didn't know, the Browns. I think we both predicted it right at 7-10.
Patrick Mahomes said, "We won a Super Bowl in our rebuilding year."
Dude, Nick Wright said that they were rebuilding, retooling, and they won a Super Bowl. That shows you how good a coaching staff they have. And Mahomes is him. Freaking, what intrigued me is that the Browns, Browns weren't great, and that They only had a negative 20-point differential, which is like, I thought was kind of weird. You'd think they were worse than that.
Yeah.
The Steelers going another winning record under Mike Tomlin. We both had them at like a losing record, 6-11 or whatever. We both said we weren't going to be surprised.
Yeah, we both said
they somehow did something. And, Kenny Pickett found his groove late in the year, and they won 9 games. Same with New England. They went 8-9. And they had a positive point differential.
So, all right, I'm gonna ask you this. You said New England made me think of this. I had this conversation the other day. Is it crazy to say I don't think Bill Belichick's the best coach of all time anymore?
I think it is.
I don't know, man.
That roster's not good.
I mean, yeah, but like, you take Brady's wins away?
They have. It's impossible to do, man. That's impossible to do. Those teams he had were crazy. It's obvious, obviously they weren't going to be as good without the greatest quarterback to ever play the game.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Which is like, it's like weird. That's weird to say, but they went 11-5 with Matt Castle at quarterback one year.
I don't know, man.
That one year Tom Brady was hurt the whole year. And they went 11-5. I think they missed the playoffs that year, which is crazy to think. 11-5, they missed the playoffs, but they still did the thing with Matt Castle at quarterback. They went 3-1 without Tom Brady with Jimmy G at quarterback. I know it's 3-1, 4-game sample size, but when the Patriots are a good team, it's not so. It doesn't matter so much who's at quarterback. The Patriots don't have a great roster. They have no secondary. I think. Like Jonathan Jones is their best corner right now. They have some good safeties. McCourty, I don't know if he's gonna come back. Kyle Duggar had a really good year this year. They just have no secondary. Their defense is not great, and they have like no go-to receiver. They thought Devontae Parker was gonna be that for some reason. Didn't happen, and with Matt Patricia as your offensive coordinator, times are going to be rough on the offensive side of the ball. So yeah, I don't think it's fair to say that because his team's not great, and he had Matt Patricia calling plays, and it's just the team's not great.
He didn't help himself out by not naming any coordinators either.
Yeah, again. He's got 6 Super Bowls. Can't really question what he does, but you also can't at the same time. Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say he's not because I personally think he is. It's just a rough couple years trying to figure out life after Tom Brady. I think Belichick's got some left in the tank, but maybe not a lot left. I just don't think it's crazy. He had a positive point differential with. Albeit 17, and they had a losing record, but still.
Do you want to touch on the AJ Brown Twitter drama?
Okay, Juju. There's 2 sides of this. One side, Juju has a right to talk because he just won the Super Bowl. The other side, it's like, dude, you're corny, you're cringy, shut up. There's that other side. One side, it's
here's how I feel about it. AJ was definitely salty, but AJ was kind of right.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
Juju's not good.
Congrats to Juju on the Super Bowl, but come on, bro.
But yeah, AJ Brown was right. But that comes from salt. Also, he was defending his teammate a little bit. And then afterwards, we see that Deebo Samuel was right on that one podcast. Bradbury, trash. People are salty afterwards after playoff losses.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to our standings like side by side. We both had the Ravens in the playoffs. Chargers in the playoffs. I had the Raiders missing the playoffs and the Broncos. I think you had the Raiders in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure.
I did.
Not to gloat, but I had that right. We both didn't have the Giants in the playoffs, which was understandable. I had the Eagles as like a 6 or 7 seed. Obviously didn't happen. You had the Eagles a little better. But neither of us thought they were going to win 14 games and make the Super Bowl.
Right.
I had the Saints in the playoffs. You didn't.
I have mine.
I had the Saints in the playoffs. I also had the Cardinals in the playoffs, which was, good Lord, not a great prediction because they won 4 games the entire year and ended the year on a 7-game losing streak.
I got it. Here it is right here.
Your standings?
Yeah.
See, I didn't write it down. Well, I did it on a standings predictor website. Let me see if I can pull that back up again.
I had the Rams as the 1 seed in the NFC. Then I had Tampa Bay as the 2.
Oh,
Green
here
Bay
they
as
are.
the 3.
Oh, no, they're not. These aren't mine. This is like what actually happened.
I had Green Bay as the 3. Arizona at 5. Dear God. I had the Broncos in the playoffs. I didn't have the Raiders in. I had the Broncos in.
Okay.
Which might be worse.
Okay, so I can't pull mine up because I didn't save it. But I know I had the Dolphins, Ravens, Chargers, Bengals, Bills, Chiefs.
I lied. I had the Chiefs as the 2 seed. I had the Bills as the 1.
Yeah, I think we both had the Bills at the 1.
We did.
So I had...
You took the Bengals over the Chiefs.
Yeah. I did. I predicted every one of these teams to be in the playoffs except for the Jaguars. I had the Titans over the Jaguars. We both had the Titans making the playoffs. So I had Dolphins, Ravens, Chargers, Bengals, Bills, Chiefs. And then at the 4, I had the Titans. Hey, if the Titans don't lose 7 in a row to end the year and actually have a competent receiver, I might have went 7 for 7. Don't at me. Don't at me. I think I went. Hold on. I think I went perfect here, except I went the Chiefs at the 5 and the Chargers at the 2. I had the Chargers as a 2 seed. I do remember that. I had the Chargers as a 2 seed or the 3 seed. Bengals at 2.
That's crazy.
Bengals at 2. And I had the Bills at 1. Hey, man.
I knew the Chiefs were. I thought it was going to be closer than that, but I thought the Chiefs were still going to win that division.
I knew that was going to happen. I thought it was going to be, or I had the Chargers winning. I thought it was going to be like I had everyone at least 10 games. It's all separated by 2 games.
Instead, they lost 10 games.
Yeah, not great. But I did have all the teams predicted. At least on the AFC, but on the NFC, I forget. I know I had Cardinals, Saints, Packers. Those 3 missed the playoffs, and Rams. Golly. I had Giants and Cowboys at the bottom. The very bottom.
I had Cowboys at 4, I think.
One I
5.
am proud of is I did predict the Vikings to do a little something and make the playoffs, but I didn't predict them to win 13 games, but I had them at like 10 or 11 at the 5 seed.
I had the Eagles as a 6.
I think I had the Eagles, or either that or I don't think I had the Eagles in the playoffs. I think I picked the Saints over them.
I picked the Panthers to finish better than the Giants.
Yeah, nobody thought the Giants were going to do anything. I thought they were going to be a little better because I believed in Dayball, but I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. I don't think anybody predicted 3 NFC East teams to make the playoffs. I had the 49ers good. I think my 3 juggernauts of the AFC were the Rams, Bucks, and 49ers. 49ers won 13. I had them sitting at 11, 12, 13 wins. Yeah, but we both didn't pick the Seahawks to make it. Neither of us picked the Giants to make it. But I had Niners, Vikings, Bucks, and Cowboys. I had half. Or 4/7, little over half. W predictions for me. W.
Yeah, mine were pretty bad.
W predictions for me. Can't wait for this year. We're going to wait till after the draft. Speaking of draft, we're going to have mock drafts coming in the later down the road. Talking more about the draft coming prospects. But yeah, not much to talk about this week. We will get into basketball talk and baseball. Baseball's almost here. We will get into baseball talk when that comes around.
College baseball starts tomorrow.
College baseball, it's Ole Miss looking to defend their title. I'm not going to be watching college baseball.
College baseball is better than MLB. I ain't gonna lie.
MLB's pretty exciting. I like the MLB. What else was I going to say? Oh, college basketball heating up. All right.
It's almost March.
Let's talk about some college basketball real quick.
Do what?
Alabama lost.
Correct.
Last night in Knoxville. What's crazy is Alabama was number 1 in basketball, and like obviously they've been good in football. That Alabama sports program is not just football, which is kind of cool. Nate Oates is doing his thing.
Now we got to hold on. If we're going to do that, we got to make sure we give Tennessee their props too.
I don't care. I did that enough in football. Even then, I slacked on that.
They have been number 1 in baseball, football, and basketball.
They've been going crazy in sports.
But that's all I'm gonna say about them. I don't want to give them too much praise, boost their head way up, and then I'll be able to have to hear about it for the next 6 months. So,
hey, they'll collapse at the end of the season like they normally do.
Vol's gonna Vol. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's what I'm saying. Hey. Just wait till March. They'll do a little something. They'll find a way to lose in the round of 32.
Rick Barnes in March.
Hey, Memphis is in right now.
Yeah, barely. But
we're in 11. We're not in like the last 4 in tournament yet.
No, we're the last 4 buys.
Yeah.
We're the last buy. We're the very last buy.
We're scraping by. UCF's gonna give us a little tough night tonight.
No Malcolm, no Alo.
We pretty much got to win out. We have Houston twice.
If we can lose to Houston twice and win out and be in, I think.
I think so, but a little win against Houston wouldn't hurt. We swept them in the regular season last year, but I think our team was. You could argue our team was better last year.
I mean, maybe.
They could be better this year, but we're kind of, struggling here as of late. So I don't really.
Well, you're missing 2 starters too, so.
Yeah. I think we have them next after UCF.
Hopefully, Sunday. Hopefully, Alo and Malcolm can play Sunday.
Hopefully.
At least limited. I mean.
Do you think we can win a tournament game? And obviously, it depends on who we play.
For
Right.
sure. I think we can win a first round game.
Where we end up. We got a little lucky last year playing Boise State. Obviously, Boise State was good. They were in the tournament, but playing a group of 5 team.
Right now, they have us matched up with TCU in the first round, I think.
That's probably a loss. TCU's been really good. That whole Big 12 conference.
They also just lost their best player. TCU did. So.
I haven't been too up to date with college basketball. I know like where teams are. I just don't know too much about the players. I know Zach Edey is probably going to win Player of the Year. That's like it. Brandon Miller is going to go top 5 in the draft. Alabama.
Seeing the Thompson twins ought to be both going top 10 would be pretty cool to see, I think.
Amen and Asawawa.
Yeah,
them boys are hoopers, no lie. Them boys are hoopers. We'll also do some stuff when that time comes. That's a little ways away. We're just at the All-Star break. Man, the NBA season has flown by.
It has. I cannot wait to cover some March Madness.
I only got 25 left. March Madness is going to be something. We're going to have to pump out some episodes more often talking about March Madness just to keep up.
Ready to fill out my bracket.
We could do that. Live stream idea, the H&H
bracket. Do it. We could do make a H&H on ESPN on the fantasy thing, and we could just do our 2, and it'll keep up with it for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or we could just fill one out together on live as an episode.
We could.
That would be a good idea.
I didn't know if you wanted to make it. I didn't know if you wanted to make it a little competition, or since I kicked your tail.
We could.
Since I kicked your tail in the college football pick'ems, you don't want to do that no more.
You won by like 4 or 5 games. I don't want to hear it. I got next year. I started off hot this year, then I kind of,
Well, if you wouldn't have took Florida and
in Kansas every week, I would have had a little bit of better. If I was rational,
I couldn't think of who the other team was.
I was irrational pretty much the whole year, and I still was only 5 games behind you. Think of if I actually put my mind. Like we both picked Vanderbilt that last week to beat Tennessee.
That was dumb.
Pumped. They were coming off a Florida win and
I picked South Carolina to beat Georgia, bro.
Yeah, we both picked them to beat Clemson the last week. That was pretty cool. What else did we pick? We picked something else. I was picking Kansas every week. Once we started picking Kansas games, I don't think I picked against them. I think I picked it against Florida once or twice. Yeah. Not great. Next year, I'm going to put all my I probably won't happen. I'll probably be a little stupid on my pick'ems again. Yeah. We're going to little light episode for you guys today. Not much to talk about. But once, March Madness starts, we'll start doing our, draft research and doing mock drafts and stuff in the later episodes.
Once March Madness starts, I'm cool to pump them out twice a week if you want to.
I'm cool to do that as well. We can get Eli and I forget it, Jacob back on the pod again to
Elijah.
Talk. Elijah. I used to call him Eli. Elijah, Jacob, Ball Oasis. We can get them back on the pod. Here soon enough when they're free. Yeah, but that's going to be the end of this episode, guys. We appreciate you guys watching and listening. If you aren't subscribed to the YouTube channel, what are you doing? Best sports podcast out. Subscribe, turn on notifications so you guys don't miss a podcast episode. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Subscribe to us on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Wherever you guys get your podcast. We'll be back next week, and we will see you guys then.